What's up, dudes? I want to start by apologizing for the lack of videos lately. Things have been a little crazy and I haven't been able to devote enough time to my YouTube channel. So I have big plans for the future, so that'll sort of change going forward because I have a lot of awesome stuff that I'm going to get to show you soon. So thanks for being patient. Keep an eye out. SPX has gone by. My best friend Brandon came into town and we had an awesome almost a week hanging out, and now I'm back to work getting caught up. Tons of awesome projects are happening, just exciting stuff. So I'm kind of playing catch up here, but today I wanted to share with you guys the process of making a skateboard wheels. So as you might know, Revive and Force are kind of my biggest clients. It feels weird calling them clients because they're my friends, and anyway, most of my freelance time is spent working with Andy and Brian on awesome skateboard stuff. The new Force Fall line has launched. Go to theshredquarters.com. The link is in the description below. Check it out. But I thought it would be cool to sort of talk over our process and how we go from an initial idea to a finished skateboard wheel design. So yeah, let's check it out. Alright, usually when Andy and Brian and I start the process of making a new wheel or a series of wheels, we get on the phone and we talk about concepts. So in this case, for this fall series, we just wanted to do a bunch of cool skull stuff. So we came up with the idea of a big skull, a bunch of little skulls, and then a Reaper wheel, like a Grim Reaper wheel. So this first part is me just sketching in Photoshop. You can see I have a template, and each wheel size has its own template. So I just kind of start in, I think I use a 50mm just to start because weirdly the smaller wheels have more space than the bigger wheels. I don't really know how to explain it, but as long as you draw outside of the template a little bit, you'll be fine, but the smaller wheels have the most space like in between the outside of the wheel and the inside of the wheel. So I start with the 50mm template and just try to get a sketch going. Usually at this point I would send sketches back to Andy and Brian, and we would jump on the phone again and talk through things, what they like, what they don't like, how to refine the concepts a little bit. In this case, I think maybe I'd even already sent them a sketch of a Reaper wheel, and here I'm just going for it. I'm gonna finish it. So you can see at the beginning there I was trying to figure out the layout a little bit, trying to get everything fitting on the wheel good. The hardest part about skateboard wheels is there's a giant hole in the middle of the artwork. So fitting things into circles isn't too hard. You can see on the Reaper's scythe, you know, I kind of wanted that to follow the circle a little bit. It's just that the middle of the design is always cut out. That's the hardest thing about fitting stuff on the wheels. And you have to fit the logo and the size, and if it's a pro model, you have to fit their name on there too. So wheels are tricky things to design. Skateboards have their own challenges, but I think wheels are definitely harder. So in the beginning you saw a lot of me trying to figure out the layout of the wheel, and now we've moved on to cleaning up the sketch. I like the layout, so I'm just getting everything looking how I want before I guess inking it. So all of this is happening in Photoshop. Really, it's the easiest place for me to figure out the layout and how I want it to look. You can see I do a lot of resizing, rotating. It's just an easy way of not having to completely erase and redraw, but being able to move things around quickly. So that's what I like Photoshop for. Also in this case, coming up here soon, I'll start what I call the inking process. So it's basically just finishing the lines of the artwork. So because I wanted this design to be sort of rough, to fit in with the skull theme, I'm really trying to chunk up the lines, and it's not all smooth and clean looking. I want it to look hand-drawn or almost even cut out of something. So I'm staying in Photoshop for the inking process. Sometimes everything ends up in Illustrator as vector form for the wheels. So a lot of stuff I do that happens in Illustrator is more clean and like the geometric shapes, and if I need a lot of straight lines and stuff, I'll do in Illustrator. But if it's meant to be hand-drawn looking or messy, I'll bring it into Photoshop. And actually, now that I think about it, a lot of this stuff goes back and forth between Photoshop and Illustrator. So usually if I want things to look more hand-drawn or texture or any sort of chunkiness or rounded corners or anything, that'll come back into Photoshop. But the straight lines, hard angles, all that stuff for me happens in Illustrator. Not to say that you can't do both in each program, but that's just the way I like to work. So yeah, this is the inking process I'm going through. This is a lot of fun because you get to sort of see, at least for me in my head, like the finished product is where at this stage you get to sort of see the finished product. So yeah, I mean this let's see, I think I'm using just kind of a standard brush. I've made a couple of brushes that I use for comics and stuff. They're real simple. This is just a round brush that has a little bit of, I think this one has more pressure sensitivity, so it has a nice, it can go from like 1 pixel to whatever you have it's set at, so you can get like nice thin to thick lines. I think I'm just chunking it up by hand, so you can see I'm going over a lot of the lines to make them thicker and more wavy. Just doing that by hand. You probably could make a cool brush to have that effect, but I'm just kind of doing it by hand here. So yeah, I mean, I think the Grim Reaper, I'm really happy with this series. I think the red, white, and black is kind of a thing that you definitely associate with Andy, but it feels very different than the last series, and I think that's something we try to do is mix it up, whether we try to make something that's cool, like the Reaper and the skulls and everything, or funny things, or nostalgic things, whatever. We try to mix it up a lot, so that's part of the fun in designing this stuff, is that Revive and Force are both really awesome brands, and they're very open, and we can do lots and lots of cool stuff. So that's really the fun in all of this, is making stuff that we think is cool. Okay, so here, moving into Illustrator, you can see here all the templates real quick, and I'm gonna dump in the artwork from Photoshop, live trace it, so that's just making a single vector image of the lines. And now I'm gonna go in and color everything, so just filling in shapes really easily with the pencil tool. By doing it this way, I am, it's called trapping. So on the wheels, the colors shift around a little bit, so I'm just ensuring that there's a little space in between. There's like some overlap for when they put the black on top of the white. So I think the printer probably does their own trapping and everything, but I'm just doing it on my end to sort of hopefully help mitigate some of that in the printing process. So so by doing it by filling things in with the pencil tool, I'm sort of automatically getting that instead of just paint bucketing in the color, and so the white and the black would just meet right up. So pencil tool, you can kind of get some overlap going. So here I'm dropping in the logo, and I'm gonna put in the 50mm. I think these wheels actually ended up being 52 and 55. I can't quite remember, but I think for the purposes of me just showing them and getting it in a template, I just went with the 50, like I said before. So this is getting close to the end. Thank you guys for checking this out. Hope it was sort of interesting. If you have any questions about my process or anything, leave a comment and I'll definitely answer. Right now, I gotta actually go work on the Winter Force line, so there's gonna be some rad stuff in that. I'm excited for you guys to see that. If you like this process stuff, want to see more, leave a comment. Tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't. I definitely want to do more stuff like this. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Catch you later.